Hey everybody, I think I'm now live. It puts me in a waiting room before we go live. So I think I'm live. I think everybody can see me. Well, we purposely gave it a couple minutes before to officially start this. All right, thank you, Douglas. Appreciate it. Thank you. Great, we're live. Okay. Gave it a couple minutes. Everybody could jump in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick this thing off. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending the Modern Licensing Tools for your regulatory agency. I'm excited you're here. We like to do these, if I can get around to it, we like to do these things at least once a quarter. So we're excited to do these once a quarter. So let's jump into some of the webinar housekeeping. So we're using Demio, which all of you know because you selected the invite, but a couple things about Demio. It's a little bit different of a platform. So you guys are muted and you have to be invited to come on stage to be able to talk for me to be able to hear you. So just understand that I can't hear you if you're talking to me. And so you have to be brought on stage for us to be able to have a conversation. There is, as I see a lot of you have already found, but there is a chat feature over in the right-hand side of your screen. It should say chat polls and handouts. We won't have any polls or handouts today, so we'll specifically just be using the chat feature. So if you guys down at the bottom of that chat window, you'll be able to type in your messages and I can actually see those. So as we're going throughout the webinar today and talking about different things, feel free to enter your questions, thoughts, or anything into the chat. And I will try to answer those as we go through as I can. And I'll also try to stop at different sections to invite any questions and answer those. If we get a flood of questions, I will ask that maybe we'll take some at the end. And then I also invite people at the end if we have some time to come on stage with me and have an open conversation. I'm totally open to that. So there's kind of multiple different ways that you guys can engage and partake in this. So also for next time and future, just know, guys, these are recorded. And we will release these. So if you have scheduling conflicts in the future, don't worry about it. We record these sessions and we'll post them to our website and put them out through socials and the different blasts that we have. So let's talk about today's agenda. First thing up, I'm going to start this webinar with kind of things that our product development team and process development team are working on in the near future that will be releasing within this quarter Q2 of this year, of this calendar year. So I'm going to be talking about things like GL portal notifications. So some of you have probably already experienced this. Some of you are already working with this. I just want to make sure we cover it and everybody understands. The pinning tool, which I'm really excited to talk about today. I think this is going to be really, really helpful for those of you that are current clients and utilizing the systems and entering defects. So I'm really excited to talk about that tool. And we're going to talk about deploy process changes. That's another big one I'm excited about. Then once we get done with that, we're going to take a break in a moment and we're going to talk about login and dashboards. I know this is a topic that I've talked to many of the current clients about. And so I'm not going to have the opportunity and availability to talk about everybody's unique situation and game plan, a solution for you guys as far as login and dashboards and association management through the web. But I do want to, from a high level, talk about our approach to it, how GL Solutions builds our software to support that. And then just know we're always here to support if you're a current client or you're not yet a client. We can talk through how we would set up that solution for you individually. I just won't be able to get into that level of detail on this call, but if you have just high level questions about it, totally happy to answer it. So after the login and dashboards and association management, I want to just end it off with the fun stuff, what you all kind of come here to hear about is in the future. What are we building in the future that you can't really expect to be released this quarter, but in future quarters, maybe by the end of this year, some new product offerings that we're currently working on and building. So I want to give you a sneak peek to that. And one thing I forgot to mention on the last slide is on this webinar today, we have both current clients and I guess non-clients. So for those of you that are current clients, you might hear me explain things kind of a little bit more in depth than I normally would. Just understand I'm trying to speak to the non-clients and make sure they understand what I'm talking about. So I think this information is beneficial for everybody in the regulatory space. So I don't want to pigeonhole us into just talking to just current clients or just non-current clients. So everybody's invited, and just know that I'm going to speak in a way that supports all individuals on this call. Okay. So for those of you who are non-GL Solutions clients, just a quick note here about GL Solutions. So we have, gosh, it's more than 25, it's like 27 years of experience now in the licensing and regulatory space. So GL Solutions only handles specifically licensing, permitting, and case management. We don't do anything else. That's what we've been doing for 27 years now. We like to say we're started by regulators for regulators. So a lot of our upper executive management, it came from the DOJ in Oregon, implemented process efficiencies there locally, and then decided to spin up their own company and provide that to regulatory agencies across the U.S. And so that's where GL Solutions was born. That's our beginnings. So we specialize in complex and scalable systems for licensing, permitting, and case management. And really our mission at the end of the day is to help government agencies run, grow, and adapt. We want to work with agencies that want to be what we call the model agency. We want the rest of the U.S. and the other agencies to look to your agency to say, gosh, how do you do that? What do you guys do? You guys seem to have it going on. So yeah, that's a little bit about GL Solutions. So let's talk about GL Portal. So for those of you that aren't familiar, we have a portal where we track all the tasks, communications, calendars, all that fun stuff that's specifically related to the client. We do this so that we're not having to flood our email inbox, right, with notifications back and forth. This is a centralized place where all of our clients can log on. It has information specific to them for which they can use. And so this first image is just the image of what we call our overview dashboard page. So we like in the last webinar, if you guys remember, this was something that we were working on the new portal, and we were talking about the features of the new portal. I just want to make sure all of our current clients out there are utilizing this dashboard page. I think there's good information out there to work with your account representative on, to take a look at, to hold GL Solutions accountable. These are good metrics to be aware of and to keep track on. We purposely built this out for a reason so that we could talk about it and discuss it with your representatives here at GL. However, if you go down on the client portal down to the users menu selection item, this is where you can set up your GL portal notifications. So as I mentioned earlier, GL portal is where we're interacting, we're posting maybe defect tasks, we're posting the resolution of the task to portal. Maybe it's a specification that you need to go on and review and approve. We're posting that to portal. And so one of the things that when we built this new portal, which I think we released, I don't know, time flies when you're having fun, maybe 6-7 months ago, maybe it's more, I don't know, but pretty recent in my world of releasing the latest version of GL Portal. We forgot to include the portal notification function. Thank you, Sue. So I know it's exactly when we went to the new portal. I appreciate that. We forgot to include the notification function of portal when we created the new version of portal, which was a oopsies on our part. And so we went back and updated it. I think we made it a little bit better and enhanced it a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that all of our current clients understand that you know how to access the GL Portal Notification Center. And the reason why we built it out a little bit differently this time is because we wanted to make sure you have a couple different options for how you receive notifications. So as you can see in this screenshot, there's these last 3 columns here where you can select assign notifications. You can select that all notifications go to you, and you can select a daily notification summary. So for those of you that aren't GL Solutions clients, here on the far left, this would represent your staff, right? So this is staff working with GL Solutions. This would be their name. And you have 3 different options. So you can be assigned to review certain items in Portal. You know, if you're a bigger department and you have multiple divisions, and you want to assign people the responsibility for reviewing certain specs or tasks, you can make sure that only the person assigned to that spec gets the notification. And what I mean by a notification is they're getting an email letting them know, hey, there's been something posted out on Portal. Can you please go out and review it? The center column here is all notifications. Now, this is more for maybe somebody that wants to be in the loop of everything that GL Solutions is posting at all times. You know, pick your poison with that one. Be careful, because depending on what we're working on and depending on how large your agency or department is, that could be a lot of email notifications. So hence, that's why it led us to the last and final one, which is the daily notification summaries. So if you do not want to be inundated with all the email notifications every time something's posted to Portal, you can receive the daily summary. So at the end of each day, you'll just get an email from GL Solutions that will let you know what has been posted that day. So you won't get pinged every single time there's something new, just depending on how you like it, preferences. So just wanted to make sure we clarified that. And again, that's to support our communication back and forth, and it's to make sure that you as a client understand what's out there for you to review at as timely as possible. Alrighty, so something that I'm really, really excited about. I think this is going to really lessen the workload on our current clients in reporting defects. And I know I've talked about it in previous webinars as something that we were working on and planning to release. And I can happily say this is midway through the cycle of our development with our product development team, and it'll be released in this quarter. This is the pinning tool. And so let me explain this for a little bit, because it's kind of a different concept. So if you're a current client working with GL Solutions and you're working in the system and you run across a defect, right? A bug. It happens. For those of you that don't think there's bugs or defects in systems, you're wrong. Every system has bugs. On my phone, I see bugs on my phone sometimes. So it's going to happen. It is inevitable. You will experience bugs. I wish we didn't. I wish we lived in a fantasy world where that didn't happen, but we don't. So when you experience bugs, we are trying to make it as easy as possible for you to report those bugs and minimize the overall time it takes for you to get that information to GL Solutions right now, right? So right now we ask you to go out in the portal, fill out this information, upload a screenshot, possibly upload a video, which is annoying. I totally get that. So what this new pinning tool will allow you as the client to do is, when you're working in the system, if you run across a defect in the actual environment, the production environment, you'll be able to pin that record at that time. And what the system will do is it will track a log of everything that you've done for the last, I can't remember if it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes, but we will literally have every step that user took that pin that record. So we know exactly what you've done in the system. And then also what it does is it takes that record and the state of that record, and it creates a copy of that state of the record. And so then what we can do is we can take that record and we can duplicate it down to the lower environments, because we don't have access to your prod, right? There's only certain people in this company that do for security reasons, but our normal testing team, they don't have access to your production environment for good reason. But then they need to test, when we fix these bugs, they need to test these things on lower environments. And so the pinning tool will allow them to test the exact same record that you experienced in prod, the production environment. And it will allow you to quickly just pin that record, which is a menu item in the production environment. And once you pin it, that will just send a defect task over to our team to work on, and they'll have all the information they need. They won't have to reach out to you for rep steps anymore. They won't have to reach out to you for images. That will all be captured within the app. I really believe this is going to be a big time saver for your guys' experience when you're working within our app. No longer do you have to go somewhere else, enter the information and all that. You just pin it in the app. And then, so for those of you that are current clients as well, this is actually already in your production environment. You might have already have seen this. It's just not fully enabled yet. So like right now, we do have the ability to create records and then duplicate them. We're just going to take it a step further to where we can actually have a client pin a record and capture the data logs for that, and then have it go to our development team in a way that they can actually fix the bug and correctly. So I'm really excited about that. And if we have time at the end of this, if anybody wants to know where that lives in their site, I can show them. Happy to do so. Okay, next I want to talk about the improved deployment process. So for those of you that are not GL Solutions current clients, just a quick rundown. We have 4 different environments here at GL Solutions. We have a dev, sys, UAT, and prod, right? So dev is where all the smart people are making the configuration, doing the configuration. Sys environment is where our internal testing team tests. UAT is our client, sandbox or user acceptance testing area, and then prod is obviously live, right? And so GL Solutions allows our clients that have the ability to make configuration changes go into the dev environment and make those changes, and they can promote that work up through the different environments. However, when GL Solution works on a project or a task for you guys, it's always broken down through tasks, right? And we have to promote them up through the different environments. So one of the things that we've heard over the years, a couple different things that we've heard over the years, is that it's annoying that when you have a project and all of those tasks for the project need to go up to prod, there's no way to just select all of those tasks within that project. Well, so what we've done, and this will be releasing here within this month, is we'll be able to, as you can see from the screenshot, where like it has this bolded, project 48321, add multi-factor authentication. You'll just be able to select that checkbox and it will select all of the tasks within that project. And then as you would as normal, you go down here to update task status I forget the status, but it's like update or something. It sends it to the next environment, the next higher environment. So instead of having to click every single task like we have to do in the past, which was a pain in the butt, you're able to just select a project. Thank you, Suanne. Pending deployment. I knew you'd know. You'll be able to select the entire project and deploy them up at once, which is a lot more simple than doing it task by task. So that's one of the changes to the deploy process. The next one that I am excited about as well is some of you may or may not know, but we've ratcheted down on our predecessor. I guess you would call it sensitivity. So again, for those of you that are not GL current clients, our system is set up in a way where the system will actually, when you're deploying new work to the production environment, it is sensitive to other work that might touch it or might be associated to it. So it will tell you that, right? And so in the past, we had the sensitivity, you can think of it as we had the sensitivity turned up as high as possible. So anything that could potentially touch that work that's being promoted up was listed as a predecessor here in this final column. Well, we've ratcheted down the sensitivity, so to try to make it so that there's not so many predecessors that really don't have an effect, and we altered it to say, well, it has to be touching that business rule or that specific item. And so hopefully you'll see less predecessors in the system. But when you see a predecessor now, when you're trying to deploy, you can bet your bottom dollar like that is a for sure predecessor. Like that for sure touches some of the business rules in that task that you're trying to promote. So we've taken a step further and said, well, we want to make sure that we give you guys the information, and then also your representatives here at Geo Solution the information to make good decisions, right? Because I know there's been clients, and I've been a part of it too, where we've been in a situation where it's like, I really need to get this stuff into prod. I do have a predecessor, so I need to have the information at my fingertips to make an educated decision on whether I promote this task or I wait. And so what we've done now is, you can see by this red box up in the right-hand corner, is so if you have a task or a project selected and you select details for selected tasks, what that's going to do is that's actually going to take you to the SDS and highlight the areas in the SDS where the predecessor touches. So you'll be able to trace back exactly what business rule, exactly what field value, whatever it may be that's causing that predecessor relationship, it will take you to that exact item in the SDS. So no longer do we have to kind of piecemeal together what we think the predecessor could be. We'll have the direct information from the SDS to guide us on why that predecessor relationship is set up. So we don't have to make guesses anymore. It will literally be from the SDS. Now, here's the pros and cons. For those of you that don't like SDSs, I myself being one of them, it's going to take you back to the SDS. So it's going to show you but it will highlight it. So you don't have to go searching through the SDS to figure out, okay, where it is. It will show you this is the area. For those of you that are a little bit more technical, that totally fine with SDSs, great, it's going to send you there. But I myself, I think everybody that's met with me or talked with me knows that I am not the biggest fan of SDSs. They're hard, they're challenging. I don't come from a tech background, so I get it. But just know that it will highlight that section and take you back to the SDS there, because that's one common source that we can go back to and say exactly this is what's going on. And your representative can walk you through that. Your AP agency partner can say, okay, let me walk you through what this business rule actually does, or what it will update if we deploy this. So, okay, the last item and kind of the stuff that's going to be released in this quarter is we are creating what we call UAT Dashboard. So for those of you that are install clients or recently gone through an install, coming up on going through an install, or even just tech support projects, right? There's this crucial period before you go live with a project or your entire system called UAT, which is user acceptance testing. So that's the time in a project lifecycle where we're testing together with you, the client, we're leading you through that, and we're getting prepared and ready to deploy and go live, right? That's a crucial period. Everybody knows that. It's always a crucial period. And so whether it be just for one single tech support project or an entire implementation, we want to be, yeah, Frank, it is really fun. If you like high stress, it is. There's nothing I can say about it. It is just stressful. I mean, it is. You're about to go live with something, so I can't sugarcoat it in any other way. That it's stressful but necessary. What I will say about that is it's really important for us to capture that data accurately and make decisions and to review the data that comes out of those UAT walkthroughs where we walk through the system with you guys. I mean, rewind back a couple of years ago, well, gosh, even 2 years ago, and all of you current clients know what I'm talking about. you guys didn't see you didn't see what we built out until UAT. Now we've updated our processes and it's a little bit different to where you'll see videos and the design and you'll get a feel for it. But like back in the day, before UAT, you wouldn't see what we built out. So, even more pressure. But so we want to make sure that we're capturing that data from our UAT sessions and reporting that to you guys in a way that you understand. There's a couple different reasons we want to do that. One, we want to make sure that we're keeping track of items that we get it. During UAT, there's a lot going on. We're going to be entering tasks that some may be, yep, that's a defect. GL solution needs to fix it. And then there might be some tasks where it's, hey, this is just a learning curve of utilizing this new system or this new process that we've built out, or this alteration that we made to a process. So we want to make sure that we're very transparent and above the table on presenting that information to you on, hey, here's the we'd call them just like training tasks that were entered, that there's no defect here. We just need to make sure you guys understand how to utilize the system, or that we have explained it correctly to you. That's I want to make sure I say that very explicitly, is like it's not always your guys' understanding, it's how GL Solution explained it to you. I think that's really important. But then the difference between defect tasks. And then we want to be able to, if it's a larger implementation, like we're going live with a system where some of you folks going through AT, we want to break it down by business process. So you can see actually like, okay, how many tasks did we get for this specific business process? In the past, we were doing this kind of manually, exporting it from Portal and putting it into our Excel spreadsheets. And it just, we didn't have a uniform, concrete, structured process to this. And so we've actually, this is actually rolled out already. So the PMs and APs can start utilizing this with you guys. And you can drill down into the data just like you can in Portal. So it's not going to just show you in this graphical format. It can show you can drill down into this information. But there's a couple different things you'll be able to do with this dashboard. You'll be able to filter by complete or incomplete. You'll be able to filter by P1s, P2s, P3s. For all of you that don't know, P1s are those are the showstoppers. P2s less critical, P3s less critical from that. You'll be able to highlight by business process. And then also what all of this is I want to make sure like we understand, like all of this is to hold GL Solutions accountable too. Like it does not benefit us to not have quality. And so we want to be able to have metrics and data drive like our efforts and time. So we want to hold us accountable for quality. So if we have a certain business process or an entire UAT where we entered, we're actually going to put this against the number of steps from the process guide and say we shouldn't ever be above a certain percentage. And so we want to have that data ready at our fingertips. And if it does get above that, then we want to be able to take that back and internally make some adjustments and say, okay, what went wrong here? We just have to get to a place where we have accurate data to be able to make decisions and deploy, staff time and effort to. And so this will help us. And then what we also hope is, as you as the client, it will make you feel better by having accurate data that's reported to you in a way that's easily understood. So I know it probably looks like a lot of data right now, but once you have the AP or PM walk you through it, you'll be able to understand what's going on with that. So, okay, I've been talking for a little bit. I'm going to take just a quick break. Does anybody have any questions? That was kind of the section of stuff that's going to be released in this quarter. I'll just take a quick second to see if anybody has any questions. Okay, you guys are going easy on me today. No questions. Okay, so for this next phase of the webinar, we're going to jump into something that we've had. With our current clients, I've had a lot of conversations around this. in different industries for different boards across the U.S. And so I want to have this discussion. I want to have this time where we can talk about it, but just know I don't have the ability to go into like specifically your data and your system, but I just want to make sure we're talking about it and we're open about it. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. I can't go too much in the details here as far as like analyzing your system and how your data works. But so let's talk about it. Secure login and dashboards. So GL Solutions is a web-first platform for those of you that are not with us or maybe new to us. Any way that we can, we're going to try to push you to be able to process what you need to do online, right? We want to try to end manual work as much as possible. And so, any process that you guys have currently, we want to find a way to put it online. That's kind of what the licensee population expects. That's what the general public expects, and it also makes your staff's job easier. So with that, these are self-service websites, so they'll be accessible, 365, 24/7, 365. We built these with secure architecture in mind. Obviously, we have to do that. We have a bunch of different standards that we have to withhold with our security. And so we kind of went with that approach first, but this is why we're having this conversation, is because I think GL's kind of had an epiphany that we had to go back and think about usability, kind of go back to the drawing board and think about usability a little bit, because we went a little bit too hard on the security side, which caused some business problems that we had to go back and kind of clean up. So that's why we're having this conversation today. So couple things. So I want to make this very, very clear. GL Solutions did not come up with the idea that we did not create this idea in a vacuum that every entity that logs into a website has to be logged in by an individual with set credentials. I've kind of heard this thing that's like, why is GL making this change? GL did not make this decision in a vacuum. We did not decide this one day. We are complying with security standards set forth by NIST, state ramp certifications, state IT. Anybody on this call, I guarantee you, if you look at your state IT requirements, it says that an individual has to be logged in. You're not to share credentials for logging in. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about businesses can't have a shared login. You can't have one shared login for a business where multiple people can access. That's against every security standard that I know of. So we took a stance on that when we built out our websites, but I just want to make sure we did not create that standard. That wasn't something that GL Solutions said, we just want to change everything and just go to this new way of authorized representatives, and we just want to make everybody's life hard. No, we are complying with the security standards that we have to have in place to probably even contract with you for a system. So let's start from there. Hopefully you can lower the pitchforks, and so we'll start there. So when you log into GL Solutions, whether you're representing a business, you're logging in as an individual with your unique specific credentials that is tied to an individual. Okay. And with that sign-in process, there's a couple different things that also complying with things like NIST and state ramp and your state IT security standards. We offer things like single sign-on, or it's also referred to as social sign-on. That's here you see in the picture down below, where you have things like Google, LinkedIn, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, all those. I think that's a good way, if you want to make sure you put off the onus of credential management off to bigger companies that do that, let them handle it. So if you have licensee population that's trying to log in for a renewal, let's say, and you have 2-year renewal period, and inevitably a ton of people are going to forget their password, they can just utilize their password through Google and go that route to get their password remembered and all that type of stuff. Your staff at the agency or department don't have to receive that phone call. So That's what we utilize single or social sign-on for. It's also a requirement now on a lot of public-facing websites to use multi-factor authentication. This is going to alleviate a lot of cybersecurity issues of people getting into accounts and accessing PII. So that multi-factor is obviously you're going to receive a text message. You have to enter the code from your text message, or you're going to receive an email or a phone call. You have those three options. And then we have the role-based access through the different security settings set up through the individual, right? So that is, and because we're hosted through Microsoft Azure, it's the Azure A2B2C, I believe it's called, that we use for a lot of that multi-factor authentication. So when you specifically get into the multi-factor authentication stuff, just know that's backed by Microsoft. So let's jump into it a little bit more. I'm going to call this section Association Management. So I want to talk a little bit about how we build out our web flows, especially when I'm talking about the examples for an individual that is somehow associated to a business, establishment, provider for you child care, adult care, regulatory agencies. So we understand there's a relationship there, right? And so there has to be an association created. So there has to be an individual tied to that business, school, establishment, provider in the system. And so when people log in, so this first screenshot, I can blow this up a little bit. So this first screenshot gives you an idea of an individual logging into the system, right? So an individual is logged in, they're brought to their main dashboard page. And this is just obviously a demo site, but it kind of mimics what a lot of the new configurable web looks like. But if you scroll down to the Manage Business section, so this is an individual logs in, they set up an individual account, but they're acting on behalf of a business, school, establishment, or provider. They select the Manage Business option. The website is going to ask them it's going to give them an option. You can either create a new business, or you can search for an existing business that's already out there and associated. So to do that, to search for a business that's already out there and created, you need to have some way to uniquely identify it, right? And so this little pop-up screen right here that I'm showing you is an example of how you would enable our system to associate an individual to a business through a unique question like this. Now, this is completely configurable, so it doesn't have to be the tax ID and the business name. It could be whatever unique information that you find appropriate at your agency or department. But just know that there's got to be a way for the system to be able to say, yes, I'm going and searching my database, and boop, there it is. That's the same tax ID and business name, association created, individual to a business. But that can be configured to ask whatever questions that you guys would like it to make that association. And then to create a new business, obviously you're just typing in the information, and then it will just create that association through the web. And now this next image, this is showing you that you've searched for a business. The business is already in our database, in Jill Solutions database. So we found it. Here it is. It's going to show you yep, you're now associated to this business. That's represented here by Jill Solutions Pharmacy. And then once you select open, you are taken to the business dashboard. Okay, so that's kind of the main difference here. The main thing to grasp from what I'm showing here is you have an individual dashboard and you have a business dashboard. I can hear the groans already. So let's talk about that. So a couple of questions that you guys might have. Why do I have to create an individual and log in as an individual to get to a business? If I'm only just a business owner or a school representative, or maybe even a CE provider, why do I have to create an individual account? Oh, security standards. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Jill Solutions is not going to. We can only go so far in usability in the name of security. Like we have to remain these secure standards, or else we wouldn't be able to work with most of you because we wouldn't comply with security standards. So next thing, what is that going to create? Well, that will create individual records in your system that may never get a license, renew for a license. And yes, that may happen. If you're an agency or department that has, schools, establishments, or businesses where people don't have to be licensed to be a representative or in that system, they will be in your system as just that representative. They won't be licensed. So yes, it will create extra data. Good thing we're hosted in the cloud and in Azure. So data is not really a problem. Storage is not a problem. But yes, that will happen. Another question that I get a lot is, well, what stops somebody from going and creating a business that is not necessary? There's validation that we can put in that. If there's somebody that you want to validate, I don't know if it's internal staff, or I don't know if it's the individual that initially logged in, they can validate that. But also, one of the things that could be, like, they could create a business. We can also go create scheduled jobs in your system and say, well, if a business hasn't done anything or been active for so long, we can wipe it from your system. Those are different options that we can take. But if a business has to go out and do anything, like apply for a license, somebody's probably not going to go like that far. Like if you're a provider and a provider has to get an application and a license, and they create a fictitious business, someone's probably not going to go as far as to like pay for that license. But there's different validations that we can put in the system to make sure, like, hey, so-and-so created this business. Are you sure they should be creating this business? We can create that type of validation in the system. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a minute because I know this is kind of a big topic. So I'm going to let you guys give you a moment to ask some questions. I think there's a question from Douglas. Can you expand on the PIN a little bit more? Sorry, this might be I don't know what you were talking about with the PIN. Oh, once you make one, how easy is it to find it again in your system? Oh, the pinning tool. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Douglas, I can show that once I finish up with the webinar, I can actually show you in the system where you would do that. It's just a menu item in the application, and then you go and just select pin tool. So I think it's technically 3 clicks. Click up top, click a button, and then you select pin. So yeah. So Kelly has a question. If a business is created, why does the communication go to the authorized rep of a business versus the owner of the business? I would think the default communication would be the owner. Yeah, I think that's a good question. And so some of this might be so for those of you that are current clients, some of this might be, I asked our technical teams about this specific question because I said, well, okay, if you guys had associations in the past in GL Suite 6 and years ago, why don't those associations just exist right away once you go to these new websites? And it's a little bit more complicated than just saying like, yeah, they should just exist, because the associations that we had built out in the past, they could be many different things. So sometimes it's owner, right? So like your example, yeah. So yeah, sometimes that can be the same as the owner. Sometimes it's like, I'm trying to think, like manager. Sometimes it's all these kind of other additional associations that can be made in the system that wouldn't necessarily be what we call the authorized representative. So when we say authorized representative, we're saying the person that represents that business, right? And it can be the owner, but sometimes, like for those of you that have been clients and had systems with us that have associations, we don't know which person would be the authorized representative. So when we create these new websites, part of it will be is like if there's not a clear distinction on who is the authorized representative here, we will ask them to go out and make that connection. And I know some of you have had some creative ways to support your licensee staff with that, and we can help game plan with that as well. But it is due to security standards. This is not something that GL Solutions just likes to like, ha, this is fun. We're going to change this around. But so I hope that answers your question. So if the owners are the people that you want as the authorized reps, GL Solution can update that and just say, okay, this seems pretty like one-to-one association as far as owners to authorized reps. So GL Solutions has the ability to say, okay, owners are the authorized reps. We're just going to blanket that as authorized reps. It gets a little sticky when, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in that case, easy owners, that makes sense. Sometimes it gets into like, I don't know if this like association should be the authorized rep. Like should the manager, I don't know. So some like we'll have like school heads or something. I don't know. We'll have different associations for different systems, and it's like, I don't know. Should that be the authorized rep? But if you guys come and tell us, yes, every single association here that is whatever should be the authorized rep, then that is easy for us to programmatically say, okay, carrying that association forward. So in these new website styles, they will be the authorized rep. Yeah, we do have the ability to do that. Okay. Let's move forward to configurable web. I want to touch on this a little bit. I know I've talked about it on a ton of different other webinars, but configurable web, guys, just know for you current clients, we are trying to actively get everybody to configurable web, these new website styles. There's a couple different reasons, and I'll touch on them. Again, is that in the past when we created a website, we used to have the back end, right, which is a lot of SQL code. And then we would go create these websites, which were totally restarting the process of configuring through HTML code and all that type of stuff. We found when we did an analysis where most of our defects coming in from our clientele, it was for websites. So we wanted to reduce that. So we said, we're going to take the same code that's written for the back end and apply it to the website. So we don't have to recreate the wheel. So it enables us to create websites faster and then also prone to less errors because it's the same code that built the back end. So we just put a nice UA layer over it, as you see here, as far as that. But all the rules, how the requirements, update and all that stuff, that's all from the rules that we wrote in the back end through web object types, web display rules that are all configured in the back end when we do your system. So for those of you clients that have old style websites, we want to transition to not supporting enhancements on those anymore. We'll obviously support defects, but we want to try to get everybody to the new look and feel of the new websites. And so expect your AP PMs to be kind of pushing you in that way. This is what people expect. This is what people want as far as the usability and ease of websites. Okay. And configurable web enables you to implement some new goodies that we have built out kind of on previous webinars. We've talked about this, but one of the biggest one is the communication center, which this little video will show you as I'm talking here. But what we want to do is we want to enable your websites to be able to allow people to enter communication through the website as they're working on a requirement. So this video is showing just a simplified requirement on an application process. A licensee can type in their question regarding that specific requirement, and that will route to the workflow management or communication center in the backend. So for those of you that are not current GL clients, the backend is the database, right? It's what your staff works on every day and utilizes. They will receive through the communication center any of those messages. So what we're hoping to do is that we're going to reduce the amount of calls that your agency and department is getting because people can just go in and do chat like this. Now, that's going to have a couple implications. It's going to change the way your team works, right? So like hopefully instead of answering phones, they're going to be answering chats. And then obviously you guys see where this is going. You can apply AI to it. So, hopefully some of the questions could just be simply answered. Well, here's what the process requires, or here's what the state statute or regulation requires that you do. Please go do this. But in my experience, AI only supports with so much, right? Like everybody loves to think AI is this amazing thing. I'm like, well, I think people need a little bit of like human touch on it, and they need to be able to express themselves. So I think having the ability to reply back. And so when somebody logs in on the staff side that's supposed to be answering these set up through security rules, they'll see those questions and they'll be able to reply to them. And the nice thing is that these will be stored in the app for all times. It can meet your data retention policies. So, if you want to, let's talk about the positive thing is people get their questions answered quickly, right? And they can move on with their application process sometimes faster because, hopefully the chat can be responded to in a day or so, right? Or that day, or, within an hour. I don't know, whenever that your team can support. But even on the more darker side, which is unfortunate that we all have to go through this, but I know the regulators go through this, is like you will now have like a captured log of everything that was said from that licensee to your staff and what your staff said to that licensee. So if some licensee claims, oh, you guys never told me that, it's like, I don't know, check the message logs. It says right here that I told you that. So you have some protection in this, which is nice because it's like this will be stored in the back end of the application of what they asked and what your response to. So if they try to claim, well, you guys didn't tell me this, it's like, yeah, we did. See the message right there. It will be stored in the app too. So So Kelly, good question. It is like, so like if you're working in the system and somebody does like enters a chat, the system will in real time just update and say you have a chat. There's nothing in the system that says like you have to answer it like by this time. It essentially will just tell you like, oh, you're getting chats. So it does update real time, but there's nothing in the system that requires you to respond by any certain time or anything. It just updates. Will existing clients be able to opt out? Yes, Kevin, you can opt out of the chat feature. You do not have to implement this. And just to kind of touch on that too, you also can give your staff or a manager access to turn it off, like on a per basis run. So like, let's say you get somebody that just is just being lame and just just not getting it and being annoying. You can actually turn the chat feature off. You can send them a message and say, hey, this is our last message. You need to do X. We've told you this multiple times, and then just turn the chat feature off and basically just mute them. This goes live. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's like this month, but it's already built like it's already built out. It's just implementing it into each system, and how they want it is more of kind of like what we're working on right now. So it's actually already, as you can see in the demo side, it's already working and does that. So so this month I can get you the exact dates too. We talk, but any questions on the websites and chat features? All right, I got 2 more minutes, so I'm going to speed through so here's what you could expect in the future. So GL Solutions wants to help your agencies and departments continuously improve and adapt. So we're actually, you'll hear me say this term a lot, but we eat our own dog food. So we actually have an EDP, MDP, employee development manager, what is this? The development process. You can tell I don't do them a lot. No, joking. So we have this process internally within our system, and we want to unleash a new product that allows you to continuously improve within your agency or department. And so this would enable staff members to be able to enter items like, we need training on this, or this process seems to be, needs support. And this is a management system for continuous improvement. So you can actually list out like, okay, this objective was issued by this person on this date with this task number. Here are some of the obstacles and actions that we need to take for this continuous improvement request. It can be about the GL Solution system, but it can be a totally separate thing that you're just utilizing GL Solutions to manage those tickets. And then there's obviously data around that as well. So what we're trying to do is get to a point where GL Solutions can be more than just your licensing tool. And then we're also trying to get it to where all members that interact and touch GL have a say and can implement these thought-provoking, how could we improve? How could we get better? Whether it's the system or our team. And you can set this up to where the AP can see this, or you don't have to let them see it, but if they can see it, the AP can bring those continuous improvement ideas that are entered through the system up in your status calls and say, hey, Janet said we need to work on this, this, and this. Let's have a conversation about this because she's saying it's a problem. What do you guys think? And so it kind of spurs the conversation about the system or whatever's going on in that agency or department, so that way we can try to help. We can't help with everything, but we certainly could bring it up in conversation to see if we can support with that. So that is something we're working on. I don't have a timeline. I don't know, but this is something that we're working on building out for all of our systems. Lastly is a big one. I made you wait till the very end, but GL Suite inspections. So for those of you that don't know, our mobile inspections is actually a third-party company that we work with. We have made the decision to build that out ourselves. We're getting rid of do forms. So if anybody's heard us say do forms in the past, that's a third-party company that handles our mobile inspections. We are actually going to build this out into GL Solutions and integrate it with our application for the mobile inspections. So that's for those of you that are using iPads, phones, which would be really difficult to do this on. I don't recommend that, but laptops out in the field for doing some of it. Some of you call it surveys, some of you call it inspections. GL Solutions is going to build this out internally. And it's going to have all the same features as do forms. The great thing is we can kind of utilize that application to make sure our system does exactly that, but it will integrate better with the back end. So it will still do the things where you can schedule, track, execute inspections in one place. They'll still have the geo tracking, reduce paper and duplicate entry, capture photos, signatures, and it will also work remotely too. So you won't have to be connected to Wi-Fi when your staff is out in the field. The GL Suite inspections will just be inherent, and then the continuous improvement, the tracking of it will just be inherent to every system. So entering and tracking it, there'll be some features that, we're a business, so we're going to keep a few features kind of, you might have to use an enhancement task to get this special feature. But just the basis of entering a continuous improvement ticket and tracking it will be base for all systems. And then also the GL Suite inspections will be base for all systems. That is just something that we don't want to pay that third party anymore, and we think we can do it better. So we're just going to do that. So that will be provided to everybody. Just no extra cost. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's a good idea, Dennis. Or good question. It is. Yeah, do forms is we want to get away from that. Okay. I'm a little bit over. I apologize for that. I will stick around for a little bit if anybody wants to ask any questions, or I can invite anybody up to the stage too. If you guys, I'm totally open to having some, if it's hard to articulate in a question, I can invite you on stage and you and I can just have a question. Or, if you guys want to just post more questions in the chat, I'll hang out just for about, 5-10 more minutes. If you guys have any more. But that is the end of my webinar. Just to let you guys know. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, yes, Andy. Okay, a couple questions. Dennis, the beginning changes are all in this quarter sometime, and I can give you a breakdown of each one. The GL Suite inspections and the continuous improvement tool, I don't have a date yet. We have committed to doing this. And so it's in the early stages with our product development team of saying, we've made the decision. We are going to replace due forms ourselves. And so I don't have a date for that. I'm hoping within this year. It's a pretty big lift for us. We have to go out and build out all this stuff. But I don't have an exact date. Yeah. Okay. Give me a moment here. Let me pull up. I'm going to show you guys the pinning tool. So just give me a second here. I'm going to pull it up on my other screen and I'll bring it over. Oh, hold on. I'm just showing my. I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and then I'm going to share my. Okay, you guys should see the demo site. Hopefully you guys all see the demo site there. So this is not any one of your guys' sites, but just the demo site. So here's the normal login. Up here in the top right, under the gear option, right now where it currently lives is under quality management, and there'll be a test center for this. And right now, because the way we utilize it is within a scenario or testing, but up here there will be an option where you'll be able to pin, and at that moment it will just capture the logs, and then it will assign a task to it, and then like within a task. So like the way we're utilizing it now is just a little bit different, but you can see here like it lives within a task, but because we create a task. Obviously, when you guys have the option to pin stuff, you'll just have to go up here and just click a button, and then it will create a task number, and it will create you'll be able to like name it or something, and then it will live in this test center. Maybe you guys don't have access to this. Maybe it's just in the demo site that I have access to it, but I don't know. So maybe I misspoke. Maybe some of you don't actually have access to the test center. I think you should. But yeah, so under the gear up here in the top right in the control panel, under quality management, under test center, you'll be able to just create a new task, which will then spur a task number and enable you to name the task. And then you'll have options, like our internal staff will have options to be able to add something to it. They'll be able to bring it down to the dev, sys, UAT environment. They'll be able to do options like restore and clone or overwrite. So there's a bunch of different options that they'll be able to do here. Yeah, so you'll click the gear up here in the top right, and then you'll click Test Center, and that will take you to kind of the area where all the tasks live. And then up here in this top right, if you see where my mouse is, like near this search bar, there'll be another menu item that says like pin or pin new issue, or I don't know exactly what's our product development team's calling it yet, but it will say like pin issue or pin task or something. You'll select that, and then down in this list, you'll see a new task number created, and then you'll be able to name it. And then once it's created, the system will automatically just like some of this information in here, the system will automatically just list out like these test steps. Like right now we're doing this because we have it. So gear clicked off in the actual workflow. You're on, and where is the sorry, Doug, I'm not understanding your question fully, but so yeah, once you go to the test center, you'll see the task creation here. And then once you click into the task, you'll see all the information that the system is going to capture. So like see right here where it says test steps, replication steps. Right now, because it's not fully released yet to clients, this is just manually done by our QA team. But the system will just go and provide information for test replication steps. It will apply the business process design entity and all that type of stuff. So this will just be filled out by the system. We'll just capture that instantly. Once an individual from this screen, which is the overall, what we call the test center, where all the tasks live, once an individual creates a new button that's not there right now that says create, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like create task or create pin task or something like that. Because you're going to need a centralized area where you can go see these, right? So we had to build something out like the test center to be able to see like, oh, where are all the tests that I created? You can see created by who it was created by and the date and time. So that will live here in the test center, but the system will just automatically populate like this information here that I showed you on this task. I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but the system will just populate that, so that our dev team will know exactly what you did. Oh, okay. Yeah. So to answer your question, like, no. That's not where the bug lives. You could be doing anything. Like you could be, on this case duration report and say like, I'm experiencing it right now. That like I see data or something that happened. And then you'll go up to this gear, you'll go to the test center, and you'll select create new, whatever we're going to call it, create new pin or something. And then you'll name it. And what the system will be able to do is say, oh, Douglas, you were on the case duration report, and you'll name it something. So you're like, case duration report is off or something. And so we'll be like, okay, we know exactly what you're doing. We can see it. Like that will hone our QA team in to be like, oh, here's the issue. Cool. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So you can be anywhere in the system doing anything because the system's already tracking every click and every page that you go to. It already knows what you're doing. It's just we didn't take it as far as to say, oh yeah, here's all the steps they took in order and regurgitate it out to a dev that can do that. Because a lot of the times when we have to communicate with you guys, it's like, oh, what did you do? What were you doing? What did you click before that? And it's annoying. It's a waste of everybody's time. The system knows that information. We don't have to ask you those. We shouldn't have to ask you those questions. But yeah, you can create a defect and pin it anywhere in the system. You are not limited at all. See you, Suan. Thank you. All right. Any other questions, guys? Thanks, Belinda. Appreciate you. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it. Thanks, Arlene. Appreciate it. Have a good one. I know. Saran assisted me so much today. I always gotta love Saran. She helps me. She'll keep me straight. I love it. All righty, guys. I'll give it another minute or two before I'll jump off here. All righty. I'm going to log out. Appreciate all of you. If you have any questions, you can email us, call us, either way. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time today.